Welcome to Happily Ever Aftermath, the podcast that explores the movies that influenced how we view love and romantic relationships. Yes, there will be spoilers. I'm your host, Diana Roderick Skonnord. As long as we're looking over our shoulder, Vesper's not dead. You have to let her go. We're talking about No Time to Die from 2021. And Ryan, hi, thanks for being here with me.
Hi, Diana. Thanks for having me on once again.
Yeah. So I hesitate in saying, you've asked for it, and so we're going to do it. No. I should specify. Meg casually tweeted about asking for this.
Meg, if you're listening, you asked for this. And
Hey, I have the tweet right here.
Yes.
It's a quote tweet, and Meg's actual tweet was, I'm going to need a No Time to Die follow-up from you two, as she quote tweets our Casino Royale episode.
Yes, the sequel follow-up.
Eventually,
yeah. How many times on this podcast have we done, or have you
Teen
done?
Wolf 2. What? Sequels?
I was going to say a sequel along with like two movies in the same continuity. There's The Mummy and did you do multiple of the Almost Sunrise or whatever it's called? I can never keep those movies straight.
Well, we talked about it, but at the same time, that's when the rules were established, and
Right.
Polina was basically like, well, no, I can't ever think of it not being that way, so what's the point of watching the second one and the third one, unless I brought someone else on, which...
So you're referring to the rules of what counts as being in continuity for the What Happens Next game?
Yeah,
But that's only looking forward, right? If you're
Yeah, this blew my mind when we got started. So do I need to ignore all the continuity beforehand?
It's like you can't ignore the events that the movie itself is building on. You just refuse to recognize it. And it's like, who's this Vesper person they keep talking about? We may never know. So,
Well, her photo was right there.
right.
Did I forget the actress's name, get paid for that?
Ava Green?
Ava Green. Did she get paid for that photo being used?
For a still? I don't know what the union rules are for that.
I would be willing to wager no, she signed away everything.
Yeah, and oftentimes it's just one of their publicity headshots or something. It's like, oh, hey, I recognize that angle from their IMDb page or something.
Yes, and also she's in the new Madden game because she signed away all of the rights to her images, so now she's a linebacker.
Yeah. Okay.
Jinx. Oh, man. Always read the contract, people.
Yes.
Alrighty.
Why don't we both say linebacker? Is that just the funniest position?
No, I don't know why, and I'm fascinated that you also were freaked out by it like I was.
Could have said running back. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. She wasn't going to be the quarterback.
What?
She wasn't going to be the quarterback.
Well, clearly, that's outside her skill sets.
She's the money.
All right.
Okay.
Defensive coordinator.
So, I don't remember when this came out, but the good news is I can look it up when it happened.
2021?
When in 2021?
Right. After we were vaccinated, I think, because we did see this in the theater.
We saw this in the theater.
Yeah, with our masks
on.
on.
We did. I thought you said we didn't see this in the theater.
We did, yes.
And
we just saw Glass Onion and Knives Out Mystery in the theater, too, which I think might have predisposed us to this, put us in a bit of a Daniel Craig mood. So.
Oh, don't lie. This has been in the works since Meg tweeted this.
Well, yes, obviously, but...
But I will say, though, that I was hesitant to rewatch it because we did just see Glass Onion, and
which is amazing, by the way. Everyone go see that movie.
I very much enjoyed it, and so I think that is the Daniel Craig property that I will be following. Well, considering this one is no longer going to be doing much.
Following? Oh, you mean watching the next one?
And appreciating more than this particular... Okay.
Well, again, we are out of James Bond movies with Daniel Craig, so...
Yes, he's been incredibly clear about that until they drop another, dump truck full of money in front of his house again, which they did to get this movie. So, okay. So really, really quick. This is the description, and I don't like many of these because they're just like, hey, James Bond is retired, but now he's back in action. Hey, why is he now back in action? But because he did what now to his to who now? Okay, fine. Living peacefully with Madeline, an attempt by Spectre on his life forces James Bond into exile. 5 years later, Felix Leiter finds Bond to ask him help to find a rogue scientist, and then all of the regular James Bond action-y, we're gonna have to save the world crap happens.
So that synopsis mentioned a Madeline as though we were supposed to know who that is, and really it's almost impossible to talk about this movie without talking about Spectre as well.
Yeah.
Spectre is from what year, Diana? Do you recall?
Wasn't that 20...
2017-ish.
Yeah,
it was a while
back. It was
back,
a big chunk of time. Hold on one second. Let me finish with this. Okay. Yes, this is like a franchise, but okay. So this particular movie, top cast, includes Daniel Craig, Ana de Armas, Rami Malek, Léa Seydoux, Lashana Lynch, Voldemort himself, Ralph Fiennes. Oh, and also Alfred from the Lego Batman movie.
Oh, yeah.
Ben Whishaw, Naomie Harris, Rory Kinnear, Jeffrey Wright, Christoph Waltz is included, and then Billy Magnussen, which he just has like a everyday want to punch him in the face kind of generic guy. It's like you could have seen him in like Fast and Furious 7 and just be like, yeah, that makes sense.
He's like handsome in that way that you don't want to trust him.
Yeah, that's actually a pretty good call. Daniel Craig, I would trust that handsome.
Yeah, we all would.
Anyone else you don't trust in the don't trust handsome?
Like people we know, or
did I say Ben Whishaw?
Who's the
don't hurt yourself.
The Jai Courtney. Yeah.
And nailed it.
Thank you.
Okay. You mentioned Spectre.
Yeah.
And that matters.
Yeah, that matters because this is I mean, for Bond franchise fans, it's for a long time been kind of a trait of the series that each individual movie kind of stands on its own, and the only real recurring characters are sort of like the people around MI6, you know, M, Q, Moneypenny, Tanner and Robinson, I think, are the traditional other agents and support staff. But you know, the people who have to do with the main plot, the villains, the allies, the love interests generally only appear in a single movie. And with the Daniel Craig movies, they totally overhauled that. There's a lot of continuity between the movies. This is,
for example, a lot of what happens is based on the fact that Mr. White has been Bond finds Mr. White because something happened and the guy kills himself, and all of this sets off a series of events because he wants to use White to find Blofeld. But who is Mr. White, Ryan?
Who? What?
Who is Mr. White?
He's the character. He's the guy from Casino Royale.
Yeah.
Yeah. So okay.
And also the beginning of Quantum of Solace.
He was in a trunk. He
was in a trunk.
This does build rather directly on Casino Royale, where the guy up the chain from Le Chiffre, Mr. White, who actually
cries tears guy. No, cries blood guy.
Right. Yes. And also the guy who's responsible for killing Le Chiffre and rescuing Bond from him, though not from the goodness of his heart. It was all part of the plan to steal all the prize money from the poker tournament.
Okay.
Diana's looking.
Well, now I'm just trying. Who socked him in the balls again?
That was Le Chiffre.
Oh, okay.
And then Mr. White's men stormed in and shot everybody and set Bond free.
Okay.
Yes.
All part of his plan.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, that makes more sense with what we find in the middle of this movie. Okay, keep going.
Because if
videotape,
right? Because if he and Vesper didn't get rescued, she couldn't have stolen the money. Anyway, that part's not so important. But in Spectre, we Bond tracks down Mr. White as a way of going up the chain because he himself has a boss, and that boss leads to Blofeld, the arch-villain played by Christoph Waltz, and he has a daughter named Madeline who becomes the love interest of that story, and a bunch of stuff happens that we don't need to concern ourselves with too much for this movie, but suffice it to say they kick off a romantic relationship. Yeah,
so much so that he's one of those classic like nods back to the old James Bond where like a gigantic laser is slowly creeping up about to take his head off or something, but in this case a something is happening to where it's going to scramble James Bond's brain and she has to watch.
It's like a teeny little dental drill that's going to go into his brain.
Yeah.
Yeah. We
you should probably give some feedback, some context as to what we had to do.
So,
if I may.
Yes.
So much like he had no time to die, we had no time to watch this.
No time to watch. Happily Ever After that presents. No time to watch.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's been a busy Thanksgiving time weekend for us where we thought we had a lot of free time and it all got eaten up by beloved friends and family and such. Those jerks. And
good cover.
Thank you. And I was planning to like watch all of Spectre just to come into this fresh, and then I didn't do it. So we kind of like tried to just give ourselves a custom supercut. We looked on YouTube for like, oh, is there a recap of like what you need to remember from Spectre before you watch No Time to Die? And
which is so unfair because a lot of the more romantic movies that I watch have absolute supercuts with like music done over it to where you see the whole thing. If you were to look up Twilight,
right,
you would be able to see their entire relationship.
And I think, I was going to say that I think they had stuff like that, but we were really interested in the Madeline parts, and obviously no one on YouTube was like emphasizing that in the way that we were interested in.
Get on that internet.
So instead, we just like loaded up the movie and started like chapter skipping around and like, okay, I think this part is important and this part is important, and then the scene at the end where they walk off into the sunset together. Okay, I think that's everything.
So if I may,
wait,
no, if I may back up a step, because you actually had pitched this idea, and I said, and you pitched it under the whole thing of just like, the way you used to fast forward things when you were a kid. And
right, just I think, as frequently acknowledged on this podcast, just kind of habitually skipping around to quote unquote the good parts.
I one of the things I should probably clarify, I would do that with movies that I had already seen before multiple times.
Okay,
so you'd
seen Spectre before one time.
I've seen Spectre before one time. And the other thing that's important is that I've tried that before with movies I had seen where I would just start fast forwarding because I would just be bored and I'm like, can we please get to the parts that are probably interesting? But I had never seen it before. So that's how I managed to fast forward all of Batman Forever. There was nothing I'm like, this is boring.
Right.
This is boring.
Well, in the age of digital media, at least we don't have to do that sequentially, right? You can...
What was funny is that while I admired you trying to find a solution for the fact that I needed to sleep to be a functional human being and also kind of get what I needed, Ryan had skipped a few things. He's like, "There's a part. Okay, there's a part. Oh, okay, here's the end." And I'm like, "Honey, they had sex somewhere. I think there was a part that we missed."
Oh yeah, that's probably important. And then we found out that like
no, in my world, no, it's not. But at the same time, we need to know why she went from okay, I hate you, I'm going to shoot you if you come anywhere near me, to bam, they're having sex.
It's like, yes, why would she want to sleep with him?
The answer is they killed Babe Baptista together.
Right.
Which I actually didn't get the first time I watched it. I'm just like, is that a thing? You kill somebody together, you just want to bang?
I mean, some of them do that. I think that's how you find out about the Bond girl's personality. Some of them, get really turned on after the.
But she's not like regular Bond girls, honey.
Yes, I know.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no. This is Daniel Craig's James Bond. What we were saying last night. This isn't your father's James Bond, although as it turns out, he is someone's father's James Bond. But
spoiler
alert. Yeah.
Hey, she denies it.
Right.
Until when she didn't.
I know there's a spoiler alert at the top of the episode, but we are going to be talking about like a lot about the ending of this movie. So if you're expecting just like little spoilers, there are going to be big spoilers. So be aware of that.
Yeah. Thanks for coming in on the second to last episode.
Yes.
And just be like, oh, No Time to Die. I'm a fan of who's Madeline?
Right. So then when we watched No Time to Die, we were more committed to like a proper viewing experience, but we still
2 hours 43 minutes.
Diana was not down for the entire so
I got to control the fast forward button.
Diana was in charge of the fast forward button, and
sorry, Billie Eilish, I didn't listen. If I was fast enough, I would have pinged past the hole where he's walking down and he turns and he shoots in the scope.
Right. Now, when you talk about like fast forwarding to the romantic parts of your favorite movies.
I never said I fast forwarded to the romantic parts. All the fast
forwarding around the uncomfortable parts.
Okay. I would fast forward through the parts that I was not interested in. That could include that could have okay, depending on where I was in my life, it could have been I'm not interested in the romantic parts. I'm not interested in this embarrassing part. I'm not in. It's basically anything that I am not in the mood to watch.
So you are describing a fine and time-honored way of watching mediocre James Bond movies, and I'm not calling this movie mediocre, but there's definitely ones where it's like I, for example, have watched the action scenes in The World Is Not Enough many times.
Okay.
The entirety of The World Is Not Enough, not so many times. It's not a great one. So.
Okay.
And I was just.
I've only seen GoldenEye of those movies.
That's a good choice. Yeah.
What was the first one?
Yeah, it's also the best one.
I also recorded
of the Pierce Brosnan ones.
Yes, of the Pierce Brosnan. I believe I recorded it off of HBO.
Mm-hmm. And I was just very amused that when Diana was in charge of our No Time to Die rewatch, it was basically the exact opposite of that. Diana, if you'd be so kind as to reenact every time there was a fight scene or a car chase, it was just
boring, getting punched. Okay, boring, getting punched. Okay.
She's rhythmically tapping on the key of the keyboard to advance
to push the movie forward just a little bit more. And it's only doing it like 10 seconds at a time, so I'm just like, okay, all right, the car flips, he shoots him in the head. Felix was my brother. Okay, he's dead. Now what?
Yeah, and it's it's so funny when we have to stop anytime there's like dialogue, because we have to go a little bit slower with like the action scenes where Madeline was present, of which there were several, and
right.
Sometimes they would drop a little bit of like character building in between punches or whatever. So
yeah, and I regret that I mostly had to skip over Ana de Armas's section,
which is totally the best part of the movie.
She was good.
She was, yeah.
But on second quote unquote watch,
mm-hmm.
There's more to appreciate
mm-hmm.
with this movie. I probably said it already. I did not like this the first time I saw it.
Yeah, you really didn't.
I really did. Well,
does it? I mean, you didn't like Spectre at all.
No.
And I tend to agree. Like, I didn't hate Spectre, but
they gave us so much to be excited about, and then it was what?
Yeah, it didn't really, like, they were really shooting for the moon with Christoph Waltz, and he's always great, but I just don't think he was used very well. And
mm-hmm.
yeah, and the relationship build up with Madeline in that one too. I just for whatever reason I was not feeling it. Like that, I think the movie just had like too much going on and not enough screen time devoted to any one thing.
Not to mention, when you go into a James Bond movie,
mm.
I don't think you're prepared to watch James Bond fall in love. And I think I was just really irritated when he's just like, I got the bad guy, and now I'm gonna go get the girl. I'm like, yeah, I know that's what James Bond is supposed to do, but this feels weird.
You know,
I quit.
We could probably have a whole conversation. Well, okay, if you had seen more James Bond movies, we could probably have a whole conversation about how much the character in his various incarnations does actually feel for these women, because he's not like, weirdly enough, he's not really portrayed as like just purely physically lustful. It's always a kind of like passion and
For the record, I have seen On Her Majesty's Secret Service
and GoldenEye, and how many others that weren't Daniel Craig?
No, that was it.
That's it?
That's it. No, and
you've seen all the Daniel Craig ones.
I've seen all the Daniel Craig ones. And the reason I mentioned that is because I watched it for Everything I Learned from Movies.
Mm-hmm.
And I suppose I was just anticipating, oh, cool, he's going to go off with this woman. All right, now cue some explosion or something where she's just going to die in his arms in 3, 2. Why are the credits over?
I mean,
she's still alive. I don't understand.
I do think it's interesting that, like, even in the older James Bond movies, that like these love interests and the sex scenes and whatnot, they are kind of like romantic in the literary sense, not so much in the everyday sense, but the kind of like, you know, larger than life, grand emotions, crazy dramatic context kind of sense. So, you know, you do get the sense that it's like, oh, I'm just overwhelmed with admiration for this woman, and not just, oh, she's so hot, I have to throw her down on the bed right now kind of feeling. I don't know. That it because like the entire James Bond franchise is always very stylized, and I think that's just sort of part of it. You know, they try to make these you know, romantic encounters kind of, you know, classy and dramatic.
I miss Anna Top.
You miss Xenia Anna Top?
I miss Anna Top.
I will stand by what I said about that being stylized. I just
it's kind of tough because I had expectations, but I didn't have expectations,
mm-hmm.
if that makes any sense. It's just like, hey, I don't know any James Bond movies except for GoldenEye, and that was a long time ago.
So sorry, are we still talking about Spectre?
Well, I thought that about Casino Royale. Okay, go back and listen to our Casino Royale episode of what I said, because what I said then I'm sure is probably still true now, except I don't know.
To try to bring this back, I thought No Time to Die was pretty darn good, even the first time I saw it. Diana, I know you weren't feeling it so much. On a second watch,
we definitely made a lot of like commentary as things went along.
Well, on the rewatch?
On the rewatch, yes. I mean, yes. Because I was thinking it as I was watching it the first time too, because spoiler alert, when James stays on the island as the missiles come in and you watch them explode, I couldn't help but say, like, all right, how's he going to get out of this one?
Right.
So.
Okay, since you brought it up, I want to... Okay, I know we're veering off the format a bit here, but I have a lot of feelings about that. I mean...
About what?
About James Bond dies at the end of the James Bond movie. Oh my God. That like, doesn't happen. I mean...
Yeah, I know, and it was irritating.
Okay, like, honestly...
We're going to be so edgy. We're going to give him a girlfriend.
I know.
We're going to make him fall in love. We're going to kill him.
Okay, please don't make fun, because, like, Casino Royale... Okay, no, I'm not saying I was, like, choked up with tears or anything, but, you know, Casino Royale, we both made a lot of jokes about, like, you know, oh, this isn't the traditional James Bond. They're breaking boundaries. They're subverting the format, and, you know...
He plays poker now.
Instead of Baccarat, yeah.
You're saying?
I mean, there's no skill to Baccarat. It's basically like, I'm the world's greatest roulette player. Like, what? Anyway. And honestly, like, the fact that he dies at the end of this movie, even after 5 movies, that honestly kind of shocked me. Like, I almost thought they wouldn't go through with it. And
I think what I was irritated about is that it didn't feel like I was watching a James Bond movie. It felt like, they did that then. They, i.e. the makers of the movie.
Right.
Not like, oh my God, James Bond. It's like, oh, they decided to go with that then, huh?
Yeah, and well, for me, it was such a weird viewing experience because, like, they really lay it out to where you can kind of tell that it's going to happen. So there's this plot device where he's been infected with this nanotechnological poison where if he ever goes near... Okay, Diana's laughing. What is it?
Because listen to what you just said. He's been infected with this nanotechnology poison.
I mean, I guess if, like, playing Metal Gear Solid was one of your formative experiences, like, you're kind of desensitized to the word nanotechnology sounding silly. But, so he's got nanorobots that's going to kill his girlfriend if he ever goes near her again. So they've already established, like, oh, there's no happily ever after for these characters. And as I was sitting in the theater, I was thinking, like, okay, so clearly he doesn't get to ride off in the sunset and you know, marry her or whatever, but they could still be building up towards some, like, miraculous last-second escape. Maybe they foreshadowed something that I've forgotten about, and, you know, they're going to pull out some surprise as the missiles are coming in. And the longer they did the build-up, the more I was starting to think they might actually go through with this. And I have to pause here to thank Stephen Izzy of the Everything I Learned from Movies podcast, because Diana, you were on that show to discuss the film On Her Majesty's Secret Service, correct?
Yep.
Which I had never seen before. That is the one oddball with George Lazenby, the only time he played James Bond. Mm-hmm. And it has a reputation for being kind of terrible, but I think really it just, like, had a reputation for everyone really wanted Sean Connery back in the role. And there was, like, a backlash when that movie first came out that kind of persisted to this day. Because On Her Majesty's Secret Service is not actually a bad movie. It's pretty good.
It's pretty good. It has its datedness.
Yeah, I mean, it's not among the best Bond movies, but it's good. It's fine. Yeah. And if not for you being invited on that episode, I probably would have never watched that movie. I sat next to you while you were preparing for the episode, and as a result of that, I understood the callback with the line, "You have all the time in the world," which spoiler alert for On Her Majesty's Secret Service, that's a callback to the one time Bond got married, which that iteration of the character did, and then his wife was killed in the immediate aftermath, and that line was sort of a tragic callback. And they did a little, like, mythological callback to that, where as he says that to Madeline over the radio, that's when it hit me like a ton of bricks, like, oh shit, they're actually gonna do it, oh my god. So
at the beginning of the movie?
At the end.
Yes, but
it was also quoted at the beginning. I'm talking about the second, at the end when he said that. I was like, oh god, that's it. So,
mm-hmm. But instead of killing the wife, they killed the Bond.
Right. And I'm not saying it was like a tearjerker for me, but it did surprise me, and not just in like a cheap, hey, you didn't see this coming kind of twist. It was
because you did see it coming.
Yeah. And yeah, it was. I'm not saying I was sad, but I definitely felt the poignancy of it. And it's this movie takes itself seriously in a good way. And maybe that was one of the deficiencies of Spectre a little bit too, where like the mythology building was a little bit too cute. Is it my real name is Ernst Stavro Blofeld. See, that doesn't mean anything to you, but the audience right now, they're just freaking out. So
I think I just came to this realization right now. I think one of the reasons that I was having such a problem with it is, well, one of many problems, is this particular villain.
Mm-hmm.
He's just like...
Are you talking Blofeld or the Rami Malek character?
I'm talking about Rami Malek's character. You remember when we watched Troy?
Mm-hmm.
And that movie is incredibly stylized. It's not a good movie. This is just what?
Troy? It's not a bad movie.
It's not a good movie.
It's not a bad movie.
It's not a good movie. What I'm getting at is that after an entire movie of, Brad Pitt and freaking Eric Bana and all the fascinating and totally badass people. Oh yeah, Orlando Bloom was there too. And he's the one who started it. He's the one war over this and all this other stuff. And in the end, after all that's happening, he gets to kill Achilles. And I know, I'm aware.
Oh my God, I remember. So it's like walking out of the theater, you're complaining about that screenwriting decision. It's like,
I was not complaining about the screenwriting.
That story beat was decided 2,000 years ago.
And the thing is, they should have anticipated that if you're going to put Brad Pitt and freaking Orlando Bloom and all these other badass. Okay, I got so mad. So mad. Not because it was written in that, but it's just the way it was executed. And I think
Diana calling out Homer. Wow.
Okay. I'm just imagining Homer going down the river Styx and going, "It's horrible." Okay. Damn Simpsons. No, what irritated me about that is what I'm feeling there. I'm like, really? This is the villain. This is the villain that gets James Bond. And the thing is, he didn't even kill him. He just made it so he's so sad about it. He decides to give up, which is so much more poetic. This villain doesn't deserve it. I'm sorry.
Just decides to give up? I'm not sure he would have had a way off that island even if he wanted. I mean,
that's kind of my question though. Cause
he had been shot in the torso on top of the whole nano poisoning. I mean,
I know, but I think that I don't like that there was another 20 minutes left of the movie after he'd been shot.
You were counting the minutes.
I really wanted
to go to bed.
I really did. But the thing is, it was really funny because he got shot and I think you paused to get like a drink or something, which, adds to how long it takes to watch the movie. And
yes,
then,
I'm aware.
And then we kept going. And then it was just like, honey, I think we have another 20 minutes left of this. You're like, no. Cause like when you cut out the credits, I'm like 5 minutes of credits. It's 20 minutes left of the movie.
He climbed that ladder so slowly.
That's really my point, though. And I understand that he was shot, but at the same time, you see the other movies where he's like slowly pulling himself to get the defibrillator out of his car. Now, granted, that was like a whole 18 years earlier, and he was a lot sprier. But also, I don't like seeing that Vesper was born in 1983.
Yeah, I remember doing the math on that too.
That hurts my body that she was 23 in that movie. And well, no, she was 23 when she died. So she was maybe even 22.
That's yeah.
How old was James?
I just think it's weird that she was trusted with that much responsibility within her branch of the government,
right?
The Treasury, I guess.
That quickly. Yes, I've. So, anyways.
But that's just I mean.
Lots and lots of irritation. So okay. So that's what happens. Have we even talked about the relationship?
I was just going to say maybe we should reel this back to okay.
Well, our relationship with this movie is.
Speak for yourself.
I just did.
All right. Well, you never quite answered my question.
Was there a question?
You were saying something to the effect of you thought it was better the second time you watched.
Yes.
Good. Thank you. Yes.
Because the expectations, I don't know. It's tough because didn't enjoy Spectre, and then it's just like, oh, cool. We're gonna watch this one now. So this should be better. Spectre really wasn't good. Although I didn't enjoy Skyfall as much as everyone did. I promise you, I do enjoy good movies. I don't feel.
You like Casino Royale, right?
I enjoyed Casino Royale.
Yeah. All right. Yeah.
And
we can all agree on that one.
And I was pleased that when I rewatched it, it held up fairly well.
Oh, very much.
Or
so, yes.
Whatever my opinion was when we recorded the episode about Casino Royale. Okay.
Poker is still cool.
Okay.
It's not as popular, but it's still cool.
Anyways,
so I like I said, I remembered the relationship part of Spectre being kind of weak.
Yes,
and I remember walking into No Time to Die the first time I saw it, feeling a little bit iffy about them building on that same relationship instead of introducing a new character.
Okay, so this is the part where we kind of get into what happens. Okay, as we had alluded to, we watched bits of Spectre to remember, yes, they fell in love during Spectre. They've been together for a period of time. This is their going to Italy. That's where the movie opens up.
Yeah, so Bond has once again noped out of MI6. I think that might be the third time that's happened.
Like this week.
And he was so shocked when they reassigned his number. Like, dude, you're lucky they didn't do that the first time he tried to quit.
No on Her Majesty's Secret Service thing where like, I took your resignation letter and I turned it into a vacation request. You're welcome, Bond.
Yeah, Ray Fiennes has no time for that.
No time. No one has any time for anything.
No time. No time for HR nonsense.
Well.
So they're just sort of living as a couple, and they visit. Oh, sheesh! I should know where it is. What do you recall? What city they're in? The one with Vesper's grave, because I believe it's the same place where the climax of Casino Royale took place, which is I should have looked this up. It's like in Greece, maybe, or
I thought they were in Italy.
Italy? Okay, yeah, that sounds. Oh, yeah, people were speaking Italian, were they? I just remember a lot of French, but that was just Madeline. Anyway, Diana kept making me fast forward. It was a lot of detail.
Diana kept making me.
They are wherever they fished Vespera's body out of the water and buried her. And coincidentally, in a festival of
that's where they buried her. She has like no family ties there or anything like that.
I guess not.
That doesn't make a lot of sense. She had
I would assume the rest of her family is in the UK if she had any.
But that's my point, though. She had a very nice crypt.
Yeah.
And someone had to have paid for that. It's just like, we don't want to move the body. We should probably just bury her here. Where
I guess the Treasury Department just has like great insurance benefits,
especially for their 22-year-old.
Right. Wasn't there a thing in Casino Royale about how they're both orphans? So yeah, I guess she doesn't actually have any family. I think they established that. Okay. Just a fake boyfriend who's in jail now.
Matera. And
Diana's looking it up.
It is in southern Italy.
Southern Italy. Okay, thank you. I don't know why I thought Greece. That was probably a different movie. So anyway, yeah. So the point is they've gone there with like Bond pretty clearly, like, if not letting go of being in love with Vesper, then at the very least not letting go of his guilt over the fact that she died.
He's so tense.
He is very tense.
He's like, I am so in love with this woman. I think we need to talk about our future. And broody.
Right.
Not regular James Bond broody.
Yeah. So we'll come back to that because I would like to talk about whether, you would count that as being like completely in love with Madeline at that time. If he's still
so hard to tell.
Yeah.
Because he is, if I may kind of move into it. So he goes to visit. Okay. It is Madeline's recommendation / request that he visits her grave.
Yeah, she's actually very accepting of the fact that he hasn't let go of this old love, and she's the one pushing him for closure and moving on.
And there is a celebration going on this evening where people are burning the past, burning secrets and on pieces of paper and letting it go because is it supposed to be New Year's? I imagine that's.
I think it's just a festival of some kind, some kind of local cultural tradition.
And so she has these things she wants. I mean, she's really into this, whole idea of I understand you have this, but I have secrets too. Can we please just like look to this? Can we please have our? She even says, "I'll tell you mine if you tell me yours."
Yeah. So she burns a paper that says "The Masked Man" on it in French, which is a reference to her childhood trauma and the thing that she's having trouble letting go of.
That you get to see in the beginning of the movie.
Right.
I fast forwarded through that because I'm just like, this isn't this thing where this guy with the mask tries to kill her. Yeah, okay, I remember. Let's go.
And meanwhile, she's also alluding to a secret that she's going to divulge to Bond once he has visited Vespera's grave and said his final goodbyes to her, which we...
Yeah, and
honestly, the first time we watched this movie, I don't think I actually put together what that secret was. On a rewatch, it's pretty obvious what she was thinking of. Namely that she was pregnant. Spoiler alert. Sorry.
Yes, and that's the thing, though, is that, like... Well, they're also leading you through this because she's like, I have a secret, too. And then magically, like... it's possible to be leading you down the path of I'm being set up
right
to try to kill you because I have a secret because somebody is holding this against me.
Which he immediately, those suspicions become real because his visit to the grave turns into an ambush. Some bad guys try to kill him, and
not just any bad guys.
Spectre bad guys.
Yeah, I know. They left their calling card.
Yes,
literally.
Diana had a problem with that.
I really did.
It's just that let the hero know that you're going to kill him moments before you do it, and
he can move slightly, and then the explosion doesn't have its full effect.
I mean, it's still a James Bond movie, It's realistic, but
except he's visiting the grave of his beloved from 5 movies ago.
And as we eventually get confirmation that this was all masterminded by Blofeld, who is a little nuts and doesn't necessarily, do things rationally,
and also is in solitary confinement.
With a cybernetic eyeball that he can use to communicate secretly with the outside world.
Oh, right. I'm sorry. I forgot James Bond movie.
This is the gritty, serious James Bond movie. With only 2 cybernetic eyeballs.
And this is the part where I like to do an aside where you see Q trying to, hack into the eyeball. Blofeld's eyeball is complete. Thank you, Alexa.
Oh, God. You laughed so hard at that. I mean, I was just saying, we just wasted 15 minutes, programming it to say that, and then...
Alexa, find Spectre on Google Maps, please.
So the way this affects the trajectory of the relationship is that Bond suspects heavily that Madeline betrayed him because, she grew up...
Because it was set up to where...
She's the only one who would have known that he would be there plausibly because he's underestimating the power of this Spectre surveillance network. 1.
And 2, Blofeld calls and says, "Thank you so much, sweetheart. You truly are a daughter of Spectre." Right.
Which, I mean, and to the point,
that's what makes
remember,
me sad with him.
And let's stop and remember, her father was Mr. White, and that is for her entire life. Her mother got killed because of his Spectre business. That's whole childhood trauma. So, she's been enmeshed in this secret evil organization for her entire life. And it's not, implausible to think that she has some sort of loyalty or obligation or just can't get out. And
I'm about to sound like an angry feminist right now.
Please do.
God, she just gets screwed over by men this entire movie.
Oh, yeah, sure. Yeah, totally.
Yeah. And the whole thing is just she's strong. She keeps herself. She knows how to survive. My girl. Okay.
And constantly needs to survive too, because bad stuff is constantly happening.
I'm not going to applaud her. I'm going to say fuck all y'all, including you, James Bond.
Yeah. I mean,
because here's the deal.
He wasn't unjustified in his suspicion, but yeah.
But at the same time, it's cool. I've saved your life, and now I'm going to put you on this train and make sure I hurt you emotionally.
Well, I mean, yeah, and that was very ambiguous. I do think, him putting her on the train and parting ways, at the time they would presume forever, was, we could sit and speculate a bit about his motives because, he tells her that he's doing it to protect her, which is probably true, but we also know that he's doing it because he knows he can't really trust her. And I don't remember
him saying he's doing it to protect her. What, we got to separate?
Yeah.
That never works.
Well, it doesn't work in that. No, but I interpreted it as he's not certain that she betrayed him, but he can't rule it out either, and that ambiguity is too much. It's just a risk he can't take. So he has to send her away, and he'll never really know the truth.
I don't think for a second that he has any inkling of thinking that she had nothing to do with it. He believed it wholeheartedly.
You think?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes. Absolutely. And you want to know how I know that?
How do you know that?
It's because how they got cornered and he kept letting all of the surrounding bad guys shoot over and over and over
into the bulletproof glass.
Into the bulletproof glass, right up against her, on her side, and do a damn thing.
Those bullets were pretty much hitting every square inch of glass. I think they were both going to get shot if that glass gave way.
Well, no. I'm not talking about the gave way part. It's the fact that they were approaching from her side. And it was just one guy doing it over and it was her side the whole time. Closer and closer. Only the one guy. Closer and closer and closer and closer and closer.
No, there was more than one guy firing.
No. When the car stopped and they all surrounded, they were absolutely shooting from all sides.
Okay.
Do you remember it was the one hench guy with the bionic eye?
Right.
Closer and closer and closer and
Interesting.
closer.
Okay.
Yeah. And it was there. I'm just oh no. He is punishing her to every single point. Oh, we gotta go, and
Without rewatching the scene, I'm not sure I accept your theory, but I'm intrigued and I look forward to watching it again.
Mm-hmm. Would you like to subscribe to my brochure?
I would definitely like our listeners to weigh in on Twitter and tell us their interpretations.
I genuinely believe that from the beginning, he suspected her, and he was actually interpreting everything as, oh, the luggage is packed, you say. My wife requested that the luggage be packed. Yeah, because she said that once we're done, we're going to start our life together.
Right.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Okay, what is this? What's going on here? What's wrong with you? Oh, you don't know? It's just like, you're no. I was having none of it. And then when he put her on the train, I'm just like, why aren't you shooting her in the head? Because you think that she should just go back to her Spectre brothers and sisters or what? There was just way too much. And this is what
interesting. If you do want to talk about why he's not just killing her in cold blood, because he's traumatized enough when he from like when Vesper got killed. Just he's too many women he slept with have died already. He can't stand one more.
No, I don't think that's it. Not too many women he's slept with. I think it's just like not another
4,
one.
5.
So there's Vesper who did betray him.
Yeah.
And then there's Madeline who he thinks betrayed him.
Right.
Who actually didn't betray him. Spoiler. Mm-hmm. So, I don't know. I don't even know where I'm going with that. Just the point is like, it's like, I don't know why he didn't kill her in the moment. I take that back. I think it's so much of his anger is what left her alive.
Mm-hmm.
Because there is no hurting her the way he was hurt if she's dead.
Yeah, man, this is actually really interesting. The whole like.
Do you think that might have been Blofeld's MO, by the way?
What
that he would have Bond so pissed off he thinks Madeline betrayed him, and he thought maybe Bond would actually kill her. Because how would that be even more?
This is just making me wish I watched Spectre in more detail, because now I'm wondering if there were some hints in there about
Oh, I doubt it.
Because Blofeld has
movies.
Well, the whole like Blofeld's obsession with Bond thing is like an entire movie's worth of.
But wouldn't that be the question? Wouldn't that be the ultimate? Actually mess with Bond to the point where he kills the woman he loves, but instead Bond is so deteriorated in an emotional type of situation where he can't even bother to kill her.
Yeah, I know, man. This is making me think like all the way through like the entire Daniel Craig franchise. There's been a lot of dialogue about, he's not really primarily like a secret agent or a spy or an investigator. People refer to him as being like an assassin or like the government's hitman, and him as a cold-blooded killer is kind of I think the line from Casino Royale that made it to the trailer, you want me to be part monk, part hitman. So, yeah, I mean, this whole idea of...
Wait, like the detective monk?
No. Definitely
so
not.
You see James Bond constantly, like, touching it once.
But, yeah, I mean... This whole thing of not only him being a killer, but killing very much in cold blood. And now I think it's really interesting that you're probing the question of if he really thought Madeline betrayed him, why didn't he kill her in cold blood? And yeah, perhaps the answer hiding in plain sight is, he didn't want to. He is a human being. Like that would just pile on more emotional trauma at a time when he's already like he was mid catharsis when that bomb went off. He was just coming from like he was probably emotionally drained just from the Vesper stuff, and he can't just like kill Madeline on top of that.
For the record,
the guy's mind is ready to snap like a twig.
He says to Vesper's photo on the crypt. Mm-hmm. Is that a crypt or is
a tomb? I think
mausoleum
or a mausoleum or like a.
He says to her, I miss you.
Mm-hmm.
And he also says, forgive me. And he's doing in the traditional
burning of the paper
in order to, do that. And so we're about 10 minutes into this movie.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just, I think what I'm doing is I'm taking what I said about Casino Royale and I'm really just running with it where I'm like, this guy is a loose cannon. And it turns out being alive these 15, 18, whatever years in between has not helped him at all. And therefore, he's just like, he just happens to have a girlfriend now.
I do think that's very much what they're going for. If I dare say this movie's kind of like themes and character arcs resonated with you. It's making you feel feelings.
If it's assuming that that's what they intended. You have to remember, these are different creative teams taking this along.
I mean, A, I do think that's what they intended. B, even if it's not what they intended, the fact that it's resonating with you still speaks to the movie.
But no, let me put it to you this way. If they had done what I assumed his future would have been, he would have been dead before Quantum of Solace started.
Like from getting shot?
Yeah, because he's reckless.
Yeah.
No, he's just completely reckless, and he dead.
Or the digitalis poisoning, or that spectacular car wreck that looked like it would have broken his neck 3 times over.
Did he die?
No, he did not die.
Okay, well then, clearly they want to sell tickets.
Right.
As opposed to going with my reality is that he's...
Until this movie came out when they decided they've sold enough tickets and it's okay for him to die at the end.
No, because it's different when he's making a sacrifice because he's putting people he loves in danger.
And also when Daniel Craig says he wants that to be the last movie.
He said that in the movie before.
This time he really means it.
No. Okay.
He's got more Knives Ounces to make.
Oh, finally.
Yes.
Okay. So he gets brought back in.
Yeah, I think we've covered like a lot of the interesting parts of the relationship because like once they're reunited,
well, there's a lot of interesting things happening.
Yeah.
Because
he gets the confirmation that she did not betray him a little bit after the no. Okay, so it's after.
Wait, what you mean when Blofeld told him?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
So they meet at MI6 because Dr. Madeline Swan, perversely enough, is treating Blofeld in prison as a psychiatrist because even though he took her hostage in the previous movie, but he says she's the only person he's willing to talk to, and MI6 just wants him to talk to anybody.
Well, girls got to eat.
Yeah, and I guess they're recording these conversations in the hope that he gives something up, which I'm not. In American law, that might be illegal for like a confidentiality thing. I don't know if British law treats that differently.
It's a good thing we're not in America.
And also, these people don't care about laws that much, but that's...
Also, they're pretty terrible about letting him have a bionic eye that lets him,
Are they just... Is it like they never noticed, or...
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either. Maybe that was established somewhere.
Well, the good news is he's tied down.
Yeah.
And gets, wheeled in electronically into other rooms. So there's no way he's doing any damage to anybody ever.
Oh, and it was after that. Oh, that was something else I never picked up on the first time I watched it, where after the encounter in MI6 and then, Blofeld unexpectedly gets killed by the nano poison, and Madeline said to Bond that she's going home, and that was a signal that because she had been living in London to be this like MI6 consulting psychiatrist with Blofeld or something, and he understood that to mean she meant that she was going to her childhood home, and that's where he should come to look for her, right?
I mean, I know she said that, but I don't know if she was actually...
And that's where they meet, and then we find out about Madeline's daughter, and...
yes.
Right, which is in... And I only know this from Wikipedia, but I believe that house was in Norway, next to the frozen lake, which was not frozen the second time we see it.
So I remember her saying, when they were together in the beginning of the movie, her saying something about going home.
Yeah.
So I think that's where they were going to go... where she thought she was going to take him after he visits Vesper's thing. So I think he knew... And
then, but as she was leaving she was leaving Blofeld's prison cell, she's saying something, I'm going home.
I think she said that in a panic. I don't think she was actually trying to tell him anything.
Well, how else would he know to go find her there?
No. I don't think she was saying that she was intending that he would follow her or know what she meant. I think she's like, I'm going home.
Agree to disagree.
Okay.
Also,
there could have just been an easy scene where you checked her London apartment, not there. All right, I'm going to go. She said home. Okay, I'll check her actual childhood home. Done.
I think that was on like the Blu-ray deleted scenes.
Yeah, because this movie needed to be longer. She wasn't there.
So yeah, he finds out that she has a daughter. She says that it's not his, but she's lying. And then the rest of the plot. Were there any other highlights for the rest of the plot? Because I feel like I would agree.
James Bond being James' dad.
James Bond being James' dad, as you put it. Yeah.
Yes.
Wait, did I have a joke about that? Or maybe it was just this is not your father's James Bond.
Yes.
He's someone. Anyway.
You already made that joke.
I did make that joke already. I'm fine with focusing mainly on like the early part and the, you know, his suspicions about her loyalties and everything. And the movie from that part forward is I thought the relationship resonated pretty well. I thought it was pretty sweet and they had good screen chemistry. I remember I enjoyed it more than I remembered enjoying it the first time I saw the movie, so that was nice. Were there any particular beats after, you know, the house and the daughter that stood out to you, Diana?
I mean, one of the things I think it's an interesting choice is that, you know, the bad guy kidnaps the child. Basically, it's just like, well, you're my child now.
Right.
Because I have to do this whole cycle of just like, oh, okay, well, your father killed my father, and so now I killed your father, except, hang on, did I kill your father? I killed somebody, damn it. Someone else killed your father, so I should kill you.
He was most likely planning to kill her mother.
Well,
I mean, she was a hostage, and...
Oh, that's right. He did come to kill her father, but he wasn't there.
Right.
So the father died elsewhere.
Wait, whose father? Wait, Madeline's
Mr.
father?
White.
Yeah.
No, he came there to kill Mr. White.
He wanted to kill Mr. White, didn't, but killed Mrs. Swan instead.
Yes, and he could have let Madeline die, but didn't.
Actually saved her life, pulled her out of the ice.
Blatantly saved her life, which that was one of those things that I skipped, and then I'm like, hang on a second, this is important.
Yeah.
And so...
And I remember you asking, like, wait, why did he pull her out of... He was trying to shoot her just a minute ago, and then he saves her from drowning.
Yeah.
And it's like, you were asking why, and it's like, there's a whole dialogue about it later. But and
I listened to it, and I'm just like, this isn't helping.
Well, yeah, I mean, the answer boils down to... It's the same as when you asked why Blofeld would put the calling card before trying to assassinate Bond. It's like, he is nuts. And he cares more about, like, doing it with a flair for the dramatic.
I'm sorry, I guess I'm used to my... Well, see, there's the flair for the dramatic, and then there's just like, I have no reason, I am evil.
Yeah, well, it's not no reason. He says that saving someone's life links you to them forever, the same as taking their life.
And that's when I thought it was like really supposed to be something a bit more like, what is their past? It's like, oh, we saw all of it? Are you sure there's not like more? Because she did have a whole life that no one knows about, like... And I expected there to be more, but they just went with, you know, some stuff where it's just like it didn't fit right.
If I had to like throw a dart at it and try to put a label, no, not a nano poison dart, just a regular.
Okay.
It's like he was implying that he was letting her grow up so he could kill her as an adult for like more complete revenge. Like he can hurt her more kidnapping her daughter than just, you know, murdering her as a defenseless little girl or something. Because he was really upset about Mr. White wiping out his entire family, and he wanted to, you know, hurt him and hurt his whole family. And by tormenting Mr. White's daughter, he was, you know, getting a more complete sense of revenge or something.
Or yeah, that's the point. Or something.
Yeah, I know.
Well, okay, and what I was getting at as I was...
The script is kind of leaving a lot to the imagination with what's going on inside that character's head. So...
Well, and let me throw this out there. It's like, so he's got Mathilde,
the daughter. Yeah.
Yes, the daughter. And he's just like, you know, oh, okay. And then she bites him on the hand. He's like, you don't want my protection anymore? Go. And she just kind of runs off. And that's it. And then all of a sudden it's just like, Mommy. And they're all together again. I'm like, really? Okay.
I don't think that... I don't think I interpreted that the same way you did. I mean... Okay, so what's your takeaway? Like he was just giving up, or...
No,
like,
it's not that he was just giving up. He's just like, I have this whole master...
More like, if she's going to resist, I'm just going to let her die on this island that's about to get bombed, or...
Well, no, because he didn't intend for the island. He was protecting the island, so she wasn't going to get...
Oh, right. Did he know the missiles were in flight? Because the missiles were in flight at that point, but you're right, maybe he didn't know.
The shields. No, I think it was more along the lines of like, dude, you're just going to let her wander off? Because it's like, oh, you can get killed or you cannot get killed. It's not my problem. I'm just like...
Well, he said, if you don't want my protection.
Yeah.
And I think it's like, okay, if you're going to wander off, you're going to be in harm's way. But I guess it's...
She's 4.
Yeah, I don't know.
I think what I was trying to get at, I'm just like, wow, the movie just really went with that, didn't they? She just kind of wandered off and hid under a table until... Okay.
It was a chaotic time.
I think she should have crapped her pants more. This is what the script gets wrong.
4 years old? Yeah, because it's like, it was a 5-year interval, and
Yep.
Madeline wasn't even showing yet when she left. So, yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. I wanted to see the deleted scene where James is doing math. How old are you again? Open your eyes wider, please. Anyways.
Anyways,
there is... Okay, yes, from a romantic standpoint, it's the whole "you were wrong," evil villain says, "You were wrong," and my next thought on that is, and you believe him? I think you should just maintain your anger and think that she honestly betrayed you before you, because then it's just magically like, well, Blofeld told me you didn't betray me, so you believe Blofeld, but when she tells you,
that's almost like a whole trope unto itself, and I'm gonna avoid trying to like I'm not inclined to like challenge the fact that didn't land for you. I'm not gonna geek out and like, oh, your reaction is wrong, and actually this movie is brilliant. Because no, I mean, you know, yeah, I think your reaction is totally valid.
I mean, if I were Blofeld, I would never stop saying just like, oh yeah, you believed that, didn't you? And then change it. He's like, yeah, you know, she totally betrayed you, right?
For my own 2 cents, I will say that interaction did not ring false to me personally, but if it felt a little bit hollow to you, I think that's also a very reasonable
I think it's
takeaway.
I think it's Bond's reaction to it. It's just like, oh well.
Yeah, the plot of that whole thing was a touch clunky. I enjoyed the execution. I thought.
You mean the two in the head?
Sure, yeah.
You were saying.
I mean, I think this story was executed with a lot of heart and a lot of acting talent. The particular beats of the plot were a little bit confusing or, you know, disorganized, but yeah.
Again, there was okay. I don't want to sound like I'm crapping all over this movie.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm trying really hard to crap on just the horrible treatment
sure
happening in this relationship, and also it's
just
good.
Thought Madeline deserves some more respect.
I think she needs. I hope she has her own therapist on retainer.
I would hope so. Yeah.
Yeah, and not just all, you know, her and woe is her. It's just this movie was better on second watch, which is nice. I'm
glad to hear that.
I just don't have the time to watch movies multiple times to truly appreciate them.
No time to rewatch.
No time to rewatch.
Mm-hmm.
I was trying to avoid that. And so for the most part, it's like, I didn't like this. I didn't like this. I didn't like this. I didn't like this. I'm in a place right now where I need stories to challenge me, but not from the logic side. I need them to challenge me from a whole like, oh, how is it going to come together? And I was not rooting for them.
Yeah.
And that's what was just having me have a problem with it. Like,
I was a little bit disappointed that I was never rooting for James and Madeline quite as hard as I was for James and Vesper. Which is interesting because, you know, so much of it was around like, oh, you know, moving on from Vesper. This is about improving on what you had, or, you know.
Yeah. And like I don't know if this is like a good psychologist, but like she was trying really hard. She's like, I'm not going to force you to tell me these things, but also I'm not going to continue with you if you're going to keep, you know, locking yourself up, you know, and I think that's great for her. But at the same time, though, it's James Bond. He's gonna have people trying to blow him up. So how far did you think you get? But then again, she's probably gone her whole life trying to dodge people who are just like, oh, you're Mr. White's daughter? No, what are you talking about? Oh, right, sorry.
Right.
You know, she's very clever that way.
Mm-hmm.
Who? So, do you think that's actually an interesting question that was brought up by the villain of this movie, James Bond? No, I'm kidding. What is his name? Safin?
Safin. You can just call his first name is some form of Lucifer in another language, and then. But
he even said like, "And you bore his child,"
right?
Which is actually her child too. So you know, yeah.
It's not his child. I mean.
Well, according to her, it's not.
Well, except for yes.
But the point is that, like, you know, did she stop loving him? And I know having the child is not the same thing, but like, you know, just he makes an interesting comment, and it's just like, did she ever stop loving him? Did she love him the whole time? You know, I think she loved him. She kept saying it. So
yeah,
but she says lots of things that aren't true.
So is this in lieu of when did they fall in love? Are we just taking it at face value that they fell in love in Spectre? Because I'm not sure I really agree with that.
But they fell in love in Spectre? I mean,
well, she professed her love in Spectre, but you know,
did he?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either, but we also did not watch it recently in any meaningful way. Sorry, what?
We got all the important scenes.
I'm not a... Yeah.
You were the one who went to like the dental brain drill scene and and pointed out that like that's when she says "I love you" to Bond, but
yes,
yeah, good catch. I probably would have not included that in the supercut otherwise. So
well, that's why
you knew about that like from a wiki or something.
I read the Wikipedia article.
Yeah. By the way, how interesting is it that there is like a complete standalone Wikipedia article for Madeline Swan?
I'm sorry,
it's a bit unusual.
I read the wiki.
Like the James Bond fan wiki or something?
I think it's the Heroes wiki.
The Heroes wiki?
Yeah.
Actual Wikipedia has a complete article for Madeline Swan, which I thought was mildly surprising.
I mean, she is the mother to his child.
Spanned 2 movies.
Well, who else? Well, question. Does Tracy Bond have her own page?
I doubt it.
Damn it, she should.
Maybe.
She actually, put a ring on it.
I could look that up right now if you want, but let's not do that.
It's already too hard. Do you think they loved each other?
By the end, yes. Inspector?
No. Let me try this.
Okay.
Do you think James Bond is capable of falling in love with a woman?
Oh, certainly.
Do you think he's capable of trusting a woman? Your eye twitched.
No, I just think it's interesting because, like, I think he definitely trusted Vesper, and he shouldn't have. So after that, less so, but
then now I ask the next question.
I think, I think he was capable of trusting a woman.
Is it possible to love a person if you don't trust them?
No.
Okay.
Well, I mean, love has many definitions. In one sense, yes, but in a more realistic sense, I would say no. I mean, that's not lasting love. That's not.
Then we can talk about like
definitely have a deep and abiding affection for someone you don't trust, but that's not. Yeah,
I was thinking like parental and child, and because I don't trust some family members. Love you all, but
yeah,
may or may not trust them.
So okay, so you looked a little surprised when I said no, and yeah, I mean that's sort of a rather narrow definition of love. So I'll say, how does that mean? Well, yes, but actually no.
So here, let me put it to you this way. Oh wow, I just this might get really embarrassing on air. I'm just like, well, honey, I don't think I could love you if I didn't trust you. Oh wait, if we get into certain slivers of trust,
slivers of trust.
Yeah, slivers of trust. I think I were talking about trust, like I trust you with my life, or I trust you to, do the favor.
Remember to do the dishes kind
of thing.
Dang
it, I didn't want to get too embarrassing on air, but at the same time, fine.
I'm forgetful sometimes.
Sometimes. So, okay, yes. I love this here.
Let me amend my statement. I definitely think it's possible to feel love for a person without trust, but that love is not designed to last, I'd say.
Okay. Anything, I don't know. This is way too difficult and
well, okay, let's make it easy. When do you think they fell in love? Do you think it was during Spectre, during this movie, between movies?
I think she is too I guess intelligent. I don't know. I think it happened after Spectre.
Yeah, I think it's a very different answer for both parties in the couple. I would say that so there was this in between period where they were just sort of gallivanting around, living as a couple on vacation, and presumably Madeline takes a pregnancy test or something before the movie starts, and I think at that point she was in love with him. Not saying not like when she found out, but at some time before then.
I agree. I wouldn't be surprised if she planned that trip after she found out she was pregnant.
Oh yeah, most likely.
In order to put their
because that's the point where she has to really get serious, and she's motivated by making the relationship stable and one that's going to last. And she has rather astutely figured out that getting some closure with Vesper is going to be
helpful.
Yeah,
it's not going to be the answer, but it's going to be helpful.
Helpful, if not an absolute prerequisite. But yeah, not the complete answer either. I do agree with that.
Do you think I will answer myself?
Yeah,
I don't think he's in love with her at the beginning of the movie.
Yeah, I think he might think he is, but yeah, I definitely put a lot of stock in Madeline, the psychiatrist's assessment that he's still, and I don't want to reduce real world psychological stuff to cliched movie terms of this, like, oh, he's still obsessed with Vesper, or he's still,
He's also surrounded by a lot of death.
Still in love with the memory of her or whatever.
I don't think it's just Vesper.
I think I don't think it's just Vesper. I think it's guilt. I think and yeah, like primarily guilt over Vesper being dead, and perhaps by extension guilt over all the other deaths that has happened.
Because M wasn't.
Yeah, absolutely. M is a huge one.
Yeah, exactly.
And also kind of the only part of Skyfall. Spoiler alert for Skyfall. I think that's kind of the only part of Skyfall that really figures into this movie. Just the loss of Judi Dench's M, the predecessor to the M played by Ray Fiennes.
I mean, who
also died on his watch, and
we all felt that loss. So.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, I was gonna say, like, no, it's not just Vesper. Vesper is one thing, but I think Vesper did a lot of damage early.
Oh, certainly, and certainly damaged his ability to trust too. Yeah.
Not to mention damage to a person who's already damaged.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And I stand by what I said. Yeah. Oh, he definitely trusted Vesper. And I think that's, not to oversimplify it, but I think that's why he's predisposed not to trust Madeline. And I definitely think that I don't think he trusted her completely even before the apparent betrayal with the tomb bombing. Madeline. Yeah. Okay. And I think, it's not so simple as like, oh, he finds out that they have a daughter together, only she denies it, which is kind of funny, bringing it back to the whole trust thing. The fact that she is in fact lying to him about that, but make of that what you will. But I kind of feel like,
well, why should she tell him the truth? What is he going to do with it? She tried, didn't work.
Yeah. So it's not so much as like, oh, there's a kid and that automatically turns him into Mr. Domestic or whatever. But what it does do is it gives him like a real tangible vision of this relationship's endgame. The whole, retire from MI6, go off and live a life of peace. Going back to Casino Royale, that has been something that's sort of been the sort of like image on the horizon for him. And when he's standing in that house with this woman he could love and spend the rest of his life with potentially, and this kid that perhaps they would take care of together, that's like, oh, this is actually within arm's reach. This could be real. This isn't just because again with both Vesper and Madeline, their version of retiring from MI6 is just kind of living on vacation forever. At no point do they have a house or anything resembling a domestic life. It's all hotels and boats and beaches and bars and whatnot. So
Madeline actually has a child at home. She has a job, and
right,
and now she's a mother. Mm-hmm. So not to mention she's a mother who's managed to make it so like no one knows that she has a daughter.
Right.
She's very good at what she does.
Does she have any other clients? But oh no, she does. Yeah, and then she. Yeah, I'm trying to think about it. Oh, yeah, because Rami Malek's character tries to what's his name? Never mind.
Freddie Mercury.
Yeah, Freddie Mercury poses as a patient. So
Freddie Mercury poisoning.
Oh my God.
I'm sorry, that was really dumb, and I'm keeping it.
Wow.
You okay there?
Yeah, so yeah, bonus points, like she could probably financially support the whole family if James just wants to be a shell-shocked retired spy for the rest of his life.
That's what he was going for.
Yeah, it's probably the only thing he's qualified to do professionally at that point.
And I bet you she could get him a great discount on one of her colleagues for some therapy.
Or at least some medication.
Yeah. No. How dare you?
No. He self-medicates very effectively.
Yeah. It's called adrenaline.
Shaken, not stirred.
The adrenaline?
Sure.
Okay. So here's the thing. I don't think he loved her in the beginning. Mm-hmm. I think he got a weird, stupid love somewhere in the middle. Like, as much as James Bond can love in any manner, i.e. he starts to trust her.
Yeah.
I suppose.
On top of that inevitable attraction with these, like, gorgeous people with impressive jobs kind of genre,
I suppose.
There are a lot of those in this story, though, of both genders.
So, I think I answered kind of that question.
Mm-hmm. No, yeah, I think it was a bit meandering, but I think we both answered. And,
did you? Remind me again of what you said.
I think Madeline fell in love with
James.
him. I think he fell in love with her during or in the immediate aftermath of seeing what, the home life would look like.
Gotcha. So before he smashed Ash with the SUV.
Yes.
Okay, good. I mean, because that can help solidify, just like, screw you. But then again, that was, you killed my friend. So, man, this guy's got problems.
Yeah, that was more about Felix.
Yeah, that was more about Felix.
R.I.P. Felix.
He was...
Spoiler alert.
I mean, he was shooting at both of them at the time as well. At Madeline and Mathilde.
Oh, are you sure? He wasn't just approaching the car from one side and shooting at one person? Or...
I meant he was going after everybody.
I was making a call back to the little bulletproof glass thing.
Oh.
No, okay. You've made me very curious to rewatch that scene.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Honey.
What happens next?
Yes.
Well, okay, so one half of the couple is dead. So we got that taken care of. You just gave me this look.
So until next time.
And okay. So I was racking my brain trying to think of an answer for this, and it's a little bit frustrating because oftentimes, like when we come up with a good answer for this, it's like, especially if the relationship has no future and one person kind of like contextualizes it and moves on, and maybe they find some like new exciting career direction or do something with their experiences, but like Madeline was like already volunteering for Doctors Without Borders. That's like part of her backstory. Like she apparently like previously was a philanthropy doctor, and at some point started working in this like ultra expensive exclusive health resort in Switzerland. I forget where that was in Spectre, up in the mountains somewhere.
Okay,
yeah.
Okay. Well, those are some borders. Those are some beautiful borders that she was.
Oh yeah, that was definitely not a nonprofit job. That was a lots of profit job.
Didn't they like fund other things for the government?
Something like that. Yeah, I don't know.
There was some sort of
okay. So like, I'm just okay. So like, if we're trying to like speculate on a future for this character, she like there's nowhere to go but down. Like she already has been a philanthropist. She already has been an ultra successful professional. She already has been evil secret agent mob princess type.
Can I break in here?
Yeah, please do.
She's got nowhere to go but down. She can stay steady.
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
she can maintain her professional. Okay, first of all,
that is what I was building up
her
to.
Government
I think that
client is dead, so she just lost that consulting job.
Yeah,
Blofeld is dead.
That is true.
So she can probably just maintain her. What?
After that scene where he gets killed and she leaves, imagine if her reaction was like, "Oh, do you know how much that contract was worth? I was supplementing my income. I don't have enough patience to." Okay, sorry.
Patience or patience?
Both, yes.
Right, okay. I mean, I doubt it highly. Her father even said she's very smart, and I don't think that was in the realm of fathers thinking that their daughters are smart.
Yeah.
She hides, she lies, she survives.
Mm-hmm.
So I think she's going to be fine.
Yeah,
is that what you were going?
I definitely was. I was saying, like, okay, when I was saying there's nowhere to go but down, I'm not saying she's going to go down. I'm just kind of saying like there's no up left. But like the status quo for her is pretty great. Like she can continue living a quiet life as a successful psychiatrist with a wonderful daughter whom she loves, and they're happy together. And she's financially secure, and and more to the point, she is free of specter. She's had this, specter hanging over her head, so to speak, of her father's ties to all these bad guys that traumatized her as a kid, and she's spending her whole life looking over her shoulder.
That's way too easy.
What?
You think that there aren't other, Freddie Mercury poisonings out there?
Well, none connected to her directly, because there was whole plot points about how like the entirety of the Spectre leadership was successfully assassinated in one fell swoop.
Spectre leadership, yes, but how many people did Mr. White kill that have offspring?
I guess the question there would be how many of Mr. White's enemies actually know who Mr. White was and are able to find him, because he was generally pretty good at hiding his tracks. And
not good enough, apparently.
Well, not good enough to go when you're going up against James Bond and the odd supervillain. But if you're talking about like a bunch of random rank and files, like they're not going to be able to track down Madeline. Right?
Well, he was the son of somebody who was up in the world, so like
they're like chief poisoner.
He killed all of the family.
So you think Madeline is going to continue to be living a life of danger?
I think she's going to be living a vigilant life, making sure she is looking over her shoulder. This is not, hey, Spectre is over, because when Spectre does what it does, something comes into its place. Now, she may not be directly target, but you have any idea how much she has opened herself up to? Oh my God, that's James Bond's kid. The weird thing is that James Bond is not alive, but how many not smart people or people who just have their own logic to go with, like, oh my God, this is my revenge, or oh my God, this is gonna so much leverage, or it's like, what is M gonna be like, we better get, is it his kid? She was pregnant. Anyways, moving on.
M is all like, I had trouble following the plot of this story.
Too busy trying to cover up my own crimes.
I got a lot of politicians on the phone. I can't pay attention to every time one of my spies knocks somebody up.
Yep. Also, why did we pick Heracles? Why not just Hercules? Was it taken? So I'm sorry, I interrupted you.
Oh no, I'm fine. Okay, so
you think she's going to live the life of
I think
quiet desperation?
I think she has the luxury of peace that she has never known before, and I do think that this loss of James definitely going to hurt, definitely going to leave some scars, but in pointed opposition to the way that Vesper kind of hung over James forever. I don't think James is going to hang over Madeline forever. I think she's going to have a much easier time finding her closure, finding her peace, moving on. And and I think she eventually finds a very good stepfather for Matilda and gets married.
Okay. I don't want to blow your mind or anything like that.
Oh, please do.
You genuinely think that she's not pregnant again?
I mean, they slept together once after their reunion.
That's all it takes.
Potentially, but like, what are the odds of that statistically?
That's all it takes. Also, they probably did it like 8 or 9 times. Because that's how it works.
Yeah.
I am of the belief that Matilda's gonna have a little brother.
Okay.
And he's gonna be named Mr. White. Does
he grow up to be some kind of action hero, or does Matilda, for that matter?
Action hero?
Or I don't know. They go into the spy business.
Oh God, no.
Okay, that's probably for the best. Madeline would not like that, I think.
I mean, I think she would be very happy if she had just like a... Okay, here's the thing, and this is what was always so frustrating. You notice that they always like, oh, my daughter, she's very smart, and yeah, she's like this ultra successful, highly brilliant. I'm like, I'm sorry, but not all of these kids are like going to be that. I'm looking at John Wick 1, where the son of isn't that isn't Alfie Allen's father a villain from
Oh, why are you quizzing me? Wait,
I'm sorry.
He was in
Anyways, I want to say he was some sort of... Oh, no. He's I'm thinking of the girl with dragon tattoo. You've got Daniel Craig in the American. He's the one in the Swedish, right?
Oh, he was a villain in Mission Impossible. That's what you're thinking of.
Really?
Yeah.
Which Mission Impossible?
The 4th one, I think.
Ugh, I can't keep those straight.
Yeah.
Anyways, but
Ghost
you get
Protocol.
But you see my point though. Some children of these people are just kind of mediocre if you're lucky.
That does raise an interesting question that kind of falls into that in between of like, is this the realistic James Bond or is it just James Bond? Because like it is a trope of this franchise that everyone is talented and charismatic beyond what's realistic. This is the to make a tired point, this is the Denise Richards as a nuclear physicist franchise.
Yeah, but this is supposed to be more realistic.
Yeah, which raises the interesting question, like how realistic is too realistic? It's like if the representative from the Treasury Department is only 23 years old and drop dead gorgeous, because that's just how things work in this movie. That's like just kind of the what's the word I'm looking for here? Kind of the conceit of it,
All right, but the point is that actor's name is Michael Nyqvist.
Yes.
All right.
Rest in peace.
Oh.
He didn't know. Yeah, he passed away a few years back.
Oh. Now I'm officially upset.
I'm sorry.
James Bond dies. I'm just like, yeah, whatever.
Right.
This guy, on the other hand, I think she has a son. I can't stop my brain from going there.
Mm-hmm.
I think she has a son. I think she's telling Matilda's story at the end because I need to understand why I now have a little brother that I have to explain to you. No, that's actually really dumb. But she tells the story of her father. I don't know why she's giving her that much information. Or maybe it's because she knows that she's young and she's not going to remember.
Mm.
But I think it's also for some sort of like legacy. Like,
yeah.
It's not just he's dead, he's gone. It's,
and he does deserve a legacy, as we see his MI6 compatriots toasting him at the end, and
because they're trying to have it both ways, where it's just like, yeah, it's just a number, and 007, and now this person is 007, and this, that, but also we will remember you forever, except for that time when we thought you were dead.
Right.
It's yeah, I think she's just gonna continue on. She's gonna keep doing what she's doing. She's gonna survive. She's gonna have 2 kids. She's gonna have a great au pair.
Yeah.
Or however it is she's raising this kid by herself anyways, because she's not stashing that kid in the closet while she's talking to clients. So
do you think Mr. White left her any money? A Swiss bank account or something?
I'm willing to wager that even if he did, she wouldn't want it. But at the same time, it doesn't matter.
She seems pretty comfortable regardless.
She seems comfortable now.
That gorgeous house and the
right.
Well, the job and the
right. Well, there. Actually, you know what? I take that back because she still keeps the house.
Right.
And she does not clean up the secret rooms.
Right.
They're still covered in dust. So, okay, whatever. Okay.
Will the au pair dust the secret rooms?
Obviously not, because we saw all the dust.
Well, yeah, but she hasn't hired them yet.
What is with, and I'll say this because James said it too. What is with your dad in secret rooms?
He's old school.
I guess. So yeah, I think that's what's going to happen, and right. I don't like that my instant reaction to you saying like, "Well, James Bond deserves a legacy." I'm like, I mean, does he though? Any more so than any other person in this?
No, not more so. Just
Oh. Well, you said he deserves one. I'm like, does he?
Well, in the sense that any person does. I mean, the movie makes a point of showing how he's remembered by the people who knew him. So I think that is kind of part of the narrative. And
okay, I don't know. I guess I'm still just like up in my head about it.
Mm-hmm.
Where, I don't know. I suppose it was do better, James Bond.
He can't. He died.
Was there any sort of just like, oh, this is the decision I've made because I don't know. You were right. He was shot in the kidneys or whatever.
Yeah,
so
it's not.
I actually, okay, for the record, I got very angry when that happened. I'm just like, oh, that quickly, huh? You're just not going to bother to sequester yourself? Remembers how these nanobots work? Oh, so it's not just staying away from them. You have to make sure you never touch anyone ever.
Yeah, because they don't get into the details of like how many generations those nanobots can jump, but there is a risk of a whole 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon lethal version.
Just the way like one skin contact to another skin contact means it's in your system and you can transfer it so easily. Mm-hmm. He just officially can't take the chance of them doing that. So to me that selfless act, quote unquote, really felt like just wussing out. You only know what one thing, don't you? Death. So you better kill yourself.
I am not. Yeah, I mean. I
love that. I think he's just not a problem solver in the moment.
I am pretty sure it was set up that like he would have only a slim chance of escaping and surviving the bullet wound, even if he didn't try to open the blast doors so that the facility would be destroyed. And opening the blast doors left him with no chance whatsoever to escape. I don't think it was, I need to die because I'm infected with the poison. I think it was, I need to stay here to make sure that the place gets destroyed.
I think it was just very badly conveyed because the whole thing was just like, I'm not going to make it, but you promised.
Right.
And I'm just like, if you knew you were going to do this before, you probably should have like radioed her sooner and done a little bit more heart. I don't know what. For some reason, the sequence of events just didn't.
Oh, yeah. No,
didn't feel enough. Didn't feel quite right.
I think it was because they were out of radio contact when they found out like what was underneath the island because like the walls were too thick to transmit through. And
I do remember that plot point now.
they came back up saying like you need to launch the missiles, and then it was like, oh wait, there's blast doors that need to be opened, or the missiles aren't going to destroy anything.
Well, he did it once, but the thing is the blast doors closed again.
Right.
So yeah, and I guess I got also irritated because it's just like plenty of time, and I'm just like, well, now you're just lying.
Yeah, which I think is kind of building on this whole motif of, no time to die, all the time in the world, plenty of time. They were doing a thing there, definitely.
Right, but I suppose it was just as irritating as the whole magic technology watch thingy he had, where what was it? The watch makes technology explode.
Oh yeah, it's an electromagnetic pulse, and
and so
he uses it to blow up the guy's cybernetic eyeball.
Yes,
which is awesome.
While it was in his head.
Yes.
And then he told Q, "Oh yeah, what? It blew his mind."
It blew his mind. Yeah.
And I'm like, "Oh, I'm taking all of this crap in the same thing." So we have no time. I'm trying to be poignant. It blew his mind. We're trying to be funny. It's like, no.
Oh,
you don't get to do both.
Let him get in one last one-liner.
No.
Oh, come on. It's like having a last drink.
Still no.
No sense of romance.
Correct. So much so that I'm ending the podcast now.
What are we talking about here again?
No time.
Well, on that note, I'm glad we got to talk about this, and it was funny that a movie with so much theme of finality to it is probably going to be my last movie pick, and yeah, it was kind of funny when you started talking about winding down the show, and I was like, oh, do I have time to pick one more movie? What can I do? And I wanted to do one just because I like being here. I like doing these episodes, but as you, Diana, know, I was kind of stretching a bit to try to come up with a movie. I think the closest thing I had was like, I'll bet I could make Vanilla Sky work. That was an interesting story. So thank you to Meg for suggesting this. It's in all transparency, it's probably not something we would have done if your tweet hadn't become almost like a running joke between Diana and myself. We have a listener request. We have to do this now. But I am glad that I did it. I think it's a great way to put a bow on, if I may call it this, my contributions to this podcast. I've always enjoyed being able to come in here with, a bit more of the traditional guy perspective, bring in a few action movies, that kind of thing, and it's been a real pleasure getting to see your perspective on it as well, Diana. So thank you again for this.
I appreciate that. And I hope I wasn't completely overbearing with the whole, James Bond, he's not nice to women. And that's the only statement I have about that.
Nothing you said feels completely off base in terms of this movie having its flaws. I think in terms of the way it landed for me emotionally, I thought this was a pretty good movie. But yeah, and even like I said, even watching it, I'm like, I want to be a little bit more engaged than I am. I'm engaged enough, but it's like, it's no Casino Royale, But I do like this movie, and I'm glad I got to talk about it. This was a lot of fun.
This was a lot of fun. Thanks, Ryan. Thanks for bearing with me as we found as little time as we possibly could to watch the movies and do what I consider to be adequate preparation for you and me.
Yes.
So
got the authentic Diana fast forwarding experience. That
it was not. I already explained to you how it wasn't.
Well, nonetheless, it made it fun in its own right, and it was a unique film viewing experience, and have a bit of a story to tell and a bit of a running joke as Diana's going through the car chases. Boring. So.
For the record, it was boring because it was not helping for the purposes of this podcast.
Right. It has nothing to do with romance.
Ordinarily, well, it like I said, my fast forwarding experience is dependent on what it is that I'm looking for in the moment.
Of course.
Or it could just be like when I used to watch Zoolander and I just left it on and didn't watch it, but just listened to it.
Yes.
Didn't fast forward much, except for the orgy scene. Crap. Okay, never mind. Okay, so
Zoolander had an orgy scene?
Okay, we'll talk offline.
Not sure I recall that part.
Yeah, okay. So I'll show you that, and I'll show you the car bullet scene from this movie. Okay, can I finish this podcast now, please?
Please do.
Alrighty, so we had a lot of thoughts about No Time to Die, and if you have extra ones, I would like to put a little asterisk by that, but if you put anything in there in an attempt to get us to do more episodes, that window has closed. But we appreciate
No time to do more episodes.
We appreciate any comments you may have, so you can reach us on Twitter and Instagram at HEAMCast.
That's HEAMCAST.
And then we are Facebook at Happily Ever Aftermath, and email us at HEAMCast@gmail.com.
Yeah, and I'm at Ryan Skonnord on Twitter. If you don't know how to spell that, just look for me in the retweets from HEAMCast. And
until next time, may your aftermath be happy. Da-na, 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 da-na. No, that's dumb. I'm going to cut that.